After sweating, after suffering, a 1-1 draw was enough to qualify Real Madrid against RB Leipzig 2-1 in aggregate. We saw a terrible first half, and it was not helped by the terrible starting lineup, but incisive and decisive individual performances pulled us through the mud. Let's break it down. Hey Madridistas, let's dissect this game, this shameful game that we played against RB Leipzig today. Honestly, it wasn't helped by the starting lineup. We had so many midfielders with a defensive profile, a holding profile in the team at the same time, with Camavinga, with Kroos, with Tchouaméni, with Valverde, with Bellingham. We only had one purely offensive player in Vinicius, and that was the main reason why this team was not able to build up in the first half. We were suffocated by this RB Leipzig pressing. Dani Olmo, Xavi Simons, they played excellent against us. We were suffering because of them. Because honestly, this game could have ended so much differently. They scored a goal with their defender because their strikers weren't able to score. The only reason why we won this game was because of the heroic performances that a few of our players made. Rudiger defensively played a top game. Amazing performance from him. He blocked shot after shot. At some point he was doing the job of Lunin. But that's not all. He was also making long passes. He was hyping the crowd up. He really was the main anchor of this defensive line, this frail defensive line, who sometimes suffered against those attacking players in midfield. Let's talk about Toni Kroos. Let's talk about these amazing passes that he made. Let's talk about how the goal that Vinicius scored was because of him, because of how he recovered the ball, because of how he made the pass to Bellingham. MVP performance from Toni Kroos. Amazing. Camavinga, though, really disappointed. Did nothing in this game. Was substituted at the halftime, and having Tchouaméni, Kroos and Camavinga as your three midfielders is not an option. All three of them were trying to get the ball a bit closer to the defenders. They were proposing an option close to the defender. But when you have two defenders plus three midfielders in the same zone defensively, and not one of the midfielders trying to make a run, trying to provoke something offensively, it's really difficult. And it's not Tchouaméni's profile. It needs to be Camavinga. It's not Kroos' profile either. Kroos is not going to take the ball and go forward. It needs to be Camavinga who has the initiative to go forward, to trust Tchouaméni, to trust Kroos that he will receive the ball, and then from a further up position, distribute the ball to Bellingham, to Vinicius, maybe to Carvajal on the wing. That's not what he did, and that was a terrible performance from him. Valverde again was our best defender, our best midfielder, our best striker, our best fan. Valverde was everywhere on the field doing what he does best. Unfortunately, in the more offensive zones, he wasn't able to be as clinical as he can be, as he was last year. But, his job, he did it, and he did it well. And in the second half, once we had a midfield three of Tchouaméni, Kroos and Valverde, that's when we saw the difference. That's when we saw someone doing the job that Camavinga was supposed to do. And that's what changed everything. Having him, having Rodrigo also. Rodrigo, who played a top performance as well when entering. He was hungry and he was angry. He was hangry. And that showed with his performance. Again, he took the ball from the defender at some point, ran, was doing shots. At some point, he was on the left side, dribbling everywhere. Good performance from him. Bellingham, again, very good performance from him as well. The goal that Vinicius scored was all Bellingham and Kroos. Bellingham took the ball from Kroos before the halfway line, drew the ball, and it really was similar to the goal that Bellingham scored against Napoli. But this time around, instead of going solo, he waited for Vinicius to do an interesting run and then a little pass that was, again, magical for Vinicius, who scored the goal. Vinicius, who was not very happy before that goal, was not very focused either. These defenders, especially the center back Orban, who also scored, they were having a little duel between them. At some point, when Orban scored, he turned to Vinicius and said, "This one's for you." Vinicius right before was pushing him, and Orban did a Oscar-worthy performance when he went to the ground for 50 minutes after being pushed just a little by Vinicius. But that's a story for another day. Vinicius, excellent, except from that, he was maybe not the most focused, but when you need to score a goal and you need to be clinical, this was the only moment that we really judged Vinicius's game from, you know, this goal that Bellingham set up for him, and it was a clinical goal. So that's all. I can't complain. I just can't complain. The only thing I can complain of was that lineup that Ancelotti did at the beginning. He should never do it again. I think his logic was to have a lineup that's as compact as possible because of this 4-2-2-2 that Leipzig play with a lot of pressure. You know, he did that in the past as well. Zidane as well did that in the past in the Champions League. Just felt like 5 midfielders. But we need some strikers. We need some danger. You know, it's sad that we didn't see Brahim Diaz play, because in the last few games he's been very good. You know, even as a starter now, he could have been a good starter on the right side. He could have been interesting. He was the one who scored an amazing goal in the first leg of the game. But hey, we're qualified. We're qualified, but I wanted to highlight this good performance from Leipzig. They played very well. In my opinion, they played better than us, but this is what experience gives you. This is what the royal blood of Real Madrid gives you in the Champions League. Even when we don't play well, when we play well, when we have our eyes closed, when our legs are tied, we're gonna win this game. Peace be upon you. Take care of you.